Meet the cereal kids are crazy for, Cthulhu. Start your morning madness with a bowl of morning happiness.
Cthulhu sale is ongoing now. You will take part. Save up to 33% off gem bundles. You will take part.
Crazy crispity, crazy crunchity, crazy
Select chests up to 50% off. You will take part. Boosters, avatars, wards, and more up to 50% off. You will take part. Party up with up to 3 times favor. Worshippers and XP. You will take part. This is your duty.
Crazy Cthulhu-y, Cthulhu. Surgeon General's warning, Cthulhu's are not of this world and should not be ingested by children or adults over the age of 80. Gems are not included as a prize because Cthulhu's are not real. Reality is meaningless, time is a construct. They not all hope when you ingest Cthulhu's. Use as directed, part of balanced breakfast. For the crispity, crunchity, crazy crunch, get cuckoo with Cthulhu.
You will take part.
Of a balanced breakfast.
Can we take a commercial break?
Good morning and welcome to another day of Sunday SMITE Esports. We're going to be starting off with the SMITE Challenger Circuit this morning. Here right off the gate, it's going to be Sleekness and Herculean Hooves taking each other on for our first matchup of the day. It's not the only match we'll have some SPL later on as well. I'm Jim Tucker, with me Mifflin, joining us for this matchup. And before we get into breaking down this game and starting to dissect these teams, let's take a look at the standings and kind of see where everybody is hitting before we even get into the final day of esports.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped to see it. Winter Dogs sitting at the top, 3-0, 100% win rate. And Herculean Hooves, one of the teams we're going to be watching a little bit later, is also at 100% win rate. Hopefully they're able to maintain that if you're a Hooves fan and maybe tie up with the Winter Dogs.
Yeah, Sleekness sitting at the 1-1, so a 50-50 on their win rate for him. Maybe looking to put the first L in the Hooves category. But if we take a look at the schedule last night, we had the Snake Hunters and Elysium play against each other. Elysium came out with a 2-1 victory, so Snake Hunters managed to at least take a game off them. But today, as you can see, Sleekness and Herculean Hooves are set this morning. And then after our SPL, we have Tuberones and Average Joes who will be playing against each other.
And for those at home and don't know these teams very well, Sleekness is essentially like the Fishies, right? From last season, we've got guys like Oceans over here, but maybe some new talent surrounding them as well. I'm pretty excited for this set.
Yeah, we have Oceans. There's Dude Man Bro, who was playing over on the Hunter position last time. We got to see a lot of his Cupid play last time that he was here on the broadcast. So a lot of big names that still come from Sleekness. Nayu and Oath as well from the jungle. Well-known Camazotz player, I believe, amongst the team for it. So curious to see what we're going to see pop out from this team, especially up against the Hooves.
Yeah, I'm really thinking it's going to come down to P's and B's between these two squads. I mean, there's been a lot of matches between these two. They've got a lot of experience against each other at the SCC level. Oceans in particular is one of my standout players, has some SPL history behind him. That was back in mid, a little bit Hunter, now playing support for the Sleekness squad. He's got gods like Ymir. He's got gods like Terra. He plays very similar to how you'd see Genetics approach the match. And in the Twitter DMs, he did tell me, make sure you're saying I created a lot of space and I burned cooldown. So I'm going to try and get some of that for him today.
You've been playing some gods like Ganesh as well. I know that was one of his picks for a little bit of time. But across the board, it's just standard play for a lot of these guys. They kind of stick to a lot of the meta, as I said, aside from Oath, who likes to play the Camazotz despite it being a more warrior-centric meta. He does still have some of the assassins that they like to pick. And even amongst the SCC, they do tend to like these assassin junglers a little bit more than the warriors. We do still see them pop out occasionally if they are available, like the Gilgamesh or the Osiris, but they've always got that flexibility available for them. Yeah,
assassins are always going to have a special place in my heart out of the jungle, man. That's the era I'm from. I like seeing the Thors, the Najas, the Bastets. Gotta scream, please play Bastet. I got to see that. But you're right to say that maybe a little bit more assassin focus here at the SEC level. And in particular, I think Erlang Shen is something that is highly prioritized.
Well, we also do have the Herculean Hooves, who's going to be their matchup for it, and some very well-known players on the flip side. Masked, big one for him. Baskin, huge
Who's
name.
That?
You haven't heard the tale of Baskin?
No, who is that?
It's not something that they would tell you.
Baskin wouldn't tell me who Baskin is?
No, nobody else would tell you who Baskin is. He's a legend.
All right, so Wooney Kim, Baskin, the one of the best players to have ever done it, generally in the mid, has got a ton of talent behind him. I mean, he's been considered legitimately one of the greatest players on the planet. And, well, we're lucky that it's just a hobby, or maybe he'd be dominating every single league.
And one of the harder players of this team to ban out exclusively because of how diverse his god pool is from his days of being a solo laner at one point, and now moving over to the mid lane to, he got bored in solo, said, you know what, this role's too easy. Decided, you know what, let's kick it over into mid lane and just start kicking kids to the dirt with it.
But it's not just Baskin on this squad. Meerkat's around, Snoopy, not Gino as well. It's Baskin and the boys. They changed the name to Herculean Hooves, but it is Baskin and the boys. And the boys are strong. I mean, there's a reason Baskin was in the title of that last squad, but certainly surrounded by great talent in his own right.
Yeah, as you mentioned, not the only big name for this team, and they've got a ton of talent and a ton of tenure behind them. Some SPL history for some of these players. I think almost all of these players, actually. I think Gino might be the only one who isn't. I think
he's got a couple games.
But I think I do think, as you said, he has a few games popped in there. So this is going to be a difficult match for Sleekness. I think it's going to be a harder match for, not just because of the tenure of these players, but just the diversity of the god pool, because when you have this many years in the game, it's hard to ban out these players. Baskin in particular, one of the widest god pools for the mid lane. It's going to be a difficult one for Neu, who's been sticking to a little bit more of the standards, some more of the Morgan Le Fay, the Tiamats, the Merlins, kind of more around his god pool.
Yeah, I think so. So we'll see how these bans roll out. Maybe the Who's put some emphasis towards the meta like we have seen in the past. The Emojas of the world, the Odins have really started to have a resurgence here at the tail end of Season 8. I'm excited to see how this one pans out, but one common thread for the Herculean Who's year in, year out has been early game aggression. It's disrespectful play through and through. Baskin's going to be playing Thoth and like dashing on you at level 2, and you're thinking to yourself, that's like a late game hyper carry. This shouldn't be happening. And well, Baskin kind of makes it work, and maybe thanks to some effort from Mast out of the jungle. So far, Tiamat taken off the table, as is Yemoja. Got lucky with those guesses earlier on. And then on the other side, Sleekness, Raijin, and Osiris taken off the table.
A team that really likes to invade your red buff, invade your purple buff on first respawn of them, you know. Kind of difficult to invade at the very beginning for it, but they do love these, as you said, high aggression, very early centric fighting style compositions, even with gods that don't typically do it. As you said, Thoth is one of the big ones. I think that's one of Baskin's big standouts from last phase, where he was just dominating on Thoth when nobody was playing Thoth. But as the last bans go through, Gilgamesh and Odin taken off the table, Morgan Le Fay will be the first lock-in, going the way of Sleekness with Artemis, who is kind of fallen to the wayside a little bit. Not as many teams are really prioritizing this hunter as much as she was being prioritized, I'd say, a few weeks ago, but ends up being first pick here for the Hoofs.
Asterisk in the SCC. In the SPL, we still see Artemis come through.
We didn't see her at all
pretty consistently.
Look, we didn't see her at all in the Leviathan set.
Oh, that's like one set, man. Come on, Artemis is so strong. All right, fair enough. All right.
Not even a ban.
The Z-Man can't play Artemis, all right? But you know what? I think the Hooves can. Obviously, being a little bit of glib here, the Z-Man can play whatever he wants. Please don't at me on Twitter. I like this draft already from the Herculean Hooves. I'm a big Artemis fan. I think she's the strongest in-slot hunter right now, just because of how itemization pans out. You can either go towards that crit tree and get additional damage from your passive. The penetration's pretty easy to roll through as well. Ikavale, you can go for Silver Branch, all going to synergize incredibly well with Vengeful Assault. Or you can go down the crit tree, and well, we know what the crit tree does for Artemis. It's a lot of damage. Meanwhile, on the other side, Hachiman locked in. That's interesting priority, if you ask me. Hachiman's not a god that we see selected very early on in very many drafts, because generally not a very contested pick. I think had Sleekness waited a little bit, maybe gone towards a Soul Laner or something along those lines, or even picked up one of their supports, Ymir and Fafnir has been a staple for Ocean so far this year. Maybe they would have still been able to get this Hachiman. How many people are banning it?
Not very many, especially not very many at the SCC level. It's typically the more standards, like the Artemis or the Heimdall is another big ban for them. So interested to see the heavy prioritization for the Hachiman and Daji as well. Daji needs a lot of extra CC to help her out. That ultimate is one of the biggest win conditions as a Daji, being able to pull people in with that Pow Lao, but you need a lot of people to burn purification beads in order to get those pulls, and you also want to hope that there's no CC immunity on the other side via ultimates to also cleanse that away. But it's a big problem for the Daji. You look across the board, you see the Artemis, Sobek, Nike, and Guan Yu and now you throw a Soul. All 5 of them, CC immunity in their kits, Soul with the Disapparate as well, would make sure that you definitely can get out of there. I don't know, even with the Xing Chen, I'm a little on the fence about this dodgy pick.
Well, I think the Xing Chen will operate as a very good tool to burn away some of those beads, and sneakily, I think Morgan Le Fay is one of the better gods for burning beads as well, because if you aggress onto Morgan Le Fay, if you put it yourself in melee range, kind of got to pre-beads. Just gotta have to do it. Just slam your beads and hope she uses the Dragon Flight immediately, and if she doesn't, she holds on to it. You're probably not getting that kill. It is unreactable CC. That's my one for the day. I'm probably gonna say it again.
Maybe.
I'm gonna say it again. Morgan Le Fay, unreactable knockup.
Only if she gets picked.
One more time. Morgan Le Fay, unreactable knockup.
Okay. Hold on, one more time just in case.
Morgan Le Fay, unreactable knockup.
There we go. I think you got it out of your system. We won't need to see it anymore for today, but we will get to see Game 1 for Sleekness and Herculean Hooves. Get ready to start up here for the NASCC. Once again, J-Mac, Tucker, and Mifflin on the call with Doug on the cam for us to make sure to bring us all the action. Immediately taking a look right down the charts. We don't really see anything too out of the ordinary, aside from a War Flag from Gino.
Yeah, I'm not a huge War Flag fan, J-Mac. I don't know how you feel about that item, but I feel like it's just outshined by the sustain that you get from literally anything else. I mean, I'd rather have potions, personally. War Flag being a little bit of additional power for your squad. You get some health, you get a little bit of MP5, and anytime you gain a passive on when an enemy dies, provides 1 stack of 1% movement speed, 2% attack speed, for about, like, I don't know, like 10 seconds. It's been a little while since we've seen this item. And it can stack up to 4 times. So it gets, what is that, like 5, 10%? Something like that. It is a conditional buff.
And it takes a little bit to get there for it as well. As you mentioned, it's only per enemy kill, and it's usually just a minion at a time to stack that up. So if you miss out on a couple of minions to the way, well, you probably won't get it unless you get a big kill on a god. Gino trying to get aggressive against Oceans and Dude Man, first trying to push them at tower line, and then now they're going for this Harpy invade attempt, but will be stopped as Oceans does walk over just to make sure to deter them for the time.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe because he's playing Sobek, it's actually such an aggressive poke god that you're utilizing that passive where when you deal damage you gain 8 gold, but Oath trying to put a stop to it.
Oh, a solid pluck by Gino will throw Oath immediately away from Snoopy. Good recognition from the support, catching him out instantly.
And now it's all about what is Oath going to do to catch up and farm. He went to the duo lane to gank early on and really got nothing off of it, so heads back to base at level 2. On the other side, Massa was just farming that entire time, has not slipped up, and, well, he's already level 3 and likely coming out to 4.
Gino in danger.
Nice trap.
Oceans gets trapped by Snoopy. Banner falls from Dude Man, but Snoopy is fighting back against them. Hits them with the slow with some extra poke right back. So now both members of each duo lane squad have to retreat as they've taken just a little too much damage.
The auto attack mitigation from Ferocious Roar, Oceans' first ability, I think is the only thing that stops Snoopy from gunning it down right there. Applies the slow to both targets, has the HP advantage, potions ticking true as well. I think he wants to stick in there.
Ocean's going to get the knockup, use the Furious Roar, and
he's dead.
the leap on top of Snoopy, but he gets
no.
trapped, so he can't use the second leap aggressively. Snoopy with another great trap placement, able to get him out of danger again.
Bro, why do we call him Baskin and the boys? What's the point when Snoopy's going to play like this good? It's so hard to land traps like that. Drops it at his feet to catch the aggressive leap in. Had he not landed that trap, he's dead. I mean, I called it. He's just dead to the second jump. Clean play from the Artemis early on, and if you're going to be landing abilities like that consistently, I mean, maybe that's one of the reasons Artemis is so highly prioritized generally.
Yeah, we're sitting over here, you know, pumping up Baskin. Yeah, Baskin and the boys, but so far it's been Snoopy and Gino over here in the duo lane putting in all the work for this team. Of course, that's where all the action has been taking place. It's typical that we will see a lot of skirmishes here in the duo lane. Now we even see Mast making a rotation towards this left side. Dude Man gonna get plucked back, doesn't use the purification beads, now caught in the middle of 3 because Mast is showing up, gets the knock at the barrier formation, and Rend will be more than enough damage to take him down. Oceans gets hit by the Sunder, Sentinel is Zeus by Mast. They're going for the tower dive, and Snoopy will pick it up, but here comes Oath.
Yeah, and Oath's a little bit late to the party, trying to chase out this Artemis. Maybe overcommits here. It's a secondary dive.
1,000 cuts, not enough damage. A barrier into a pluck will be good for an extra kill, but Nayu's with rotation will at least make sure that Sleekness can net 1 from all of this.
Yeah, sick rotation there, Nayu. I mean, netting 1 at the end of the day, pretty nice, but you just got like triple tower dove at level 5 inside of the duo lane. Already, Herculean Hooves off to a roaring start. Snoopy actually off of the assist, takes over to level 5, gets the Caledonian Boar to continue that engagement. Had Nehu not had the ultimate available, he probably just dies. That sustain, that lifesteal that he gains, as well as the healing from Vampiric Shroud, is the only thing that keeps him standing in that engagement.
I gotta point out, I'm pretty sure he got a case of whiplash under that tower because it was a leap in, so the knock-up, then barrier formation pushed him into a pluck from Sobek, right into the final basic from Snoopy. That's gotta be just so disorienting to deal with.
Yeah, now what are they gonna do on the side of Sleekness? Maybe try and approach this purple buff, try and find something to get some golden experience back, but Mask is going to let you have that. Mask is already there, and he cleared it out. Fortunately, though, that does leave Dude Man Bro farming a little bit more than Snoopy.
Snoopy in danger, immediately has to use the Purification Beads for the ultimate. And will be able to get out of danger just for now. Didn't have his own boar as a defense. Ocean's trying to dive to the back line, but Oath on the right side trying to grab Meerkat, who jumps off the cavalry charge and back to the safety of his tower. Action across the map for it, but neither side ends up coming in with a kill.
Yeah, all 5 ultimates down for Sleekness right now. Oath and Chronic heavy commit onto that solo lane. You got to be able to find those kills if you're going to use that many resources trying to gank Meerkat, but cavalry charge and beads means that he's pretty hard to kill early on. I don't care if you're landing Pal Lao. I don't care if Sun Wukong lands the cat form. There's too many forms of CC immunity for that 2v1 to really work out just about ever. It has to be raw damage. You can't be relying on the CC.
Yeah, especially when, as we mentioned in the picks and bans, CC immunity from the Guan Yu makes it to where that Pal Lao is essentially not really useless. You can still get some decent damage just by hitting the 3 chains for it, but you're not going to be able to get that pull back. And that was kind of the struggle that I tried highlighting with this dodgy, is there's so much inherent CC immunity on the side of Herculean Hooves, plus 4 members of the team have picked up Purification Beads as a first relic. It's really going to come down to Oceans to get a lot of beads pressure, even Neu with that Sigil or with that Dragonflight, to get some beads pressure for Oath to be able to get anything rolling for the team.
Dude Man Bro eats a jump from Mast and loses out on the majority of his HP bar in the exchange. It was actually Sleekness trying to set up an ambush on a Snoopy, trying to clear that wave, and, well, gets spotted out. Now Herculean Hooves deep in the enemy jungle.
See, Gold lead only about 400 so far, despite the first blood and 3 kills versus the 1 against it. Gold pretty much even experience, about 1,500 give or take in favor of Herculean Hooves, just keeping a little bit of extra, and that's mostly just from their duo lane Hunter, a little bit from the mid laner as well. Mask is bullying Oath in his own jungle, forces him up into the Pal Lao instantly. Purification Beads out of Mask to make sure he doesn't get pulled back, but it's all for a red buff invade, as even Gino has used the lurking in the waters, trying to find anybody that they can, but Mask, low in mana, gets the ultimate out of Dude Man, who does a lot of damage back. Snoopy is now in danger.
Nehu gets the additional movement speed from the 3rd ability, trying to chase it out. Snoopy, 2 shots over the wall, but Nehu can't finish it.
Oceans wants that kill, but the boar comes out from Snoopy, and that's going to guarantee that he gets back to safety, and a pluck from Gino just for extra good measure.
Now, what are you going to do with it, Sleekness? You've pushed the Herculean Hooves back and out. Purple buff invade attempt here, but Gino, trying to find that defense, is not quite able to do so. Oceans, credit for that one, and net wash, I'd say. Purple buff or red, maybe the more valuable buff being the red. You want to favor Herculean Hooves, but it was a pretty heavy commitment. Mast uses ultimate as well as his beads, and well, that's about it as far as Mast goes, but that's a lot of survivability loss. One of the only gods on the side of the Hooves that doesn't have inherent CC immunity, so next time Oath is able to close gap onto him, gotta think that Pal Lao should find value.
One thing not even talked about just yet is how much inherent healing that these two teams can, or that Herculean Hooves have at least in their kit. They've got Meerkat with the Guan Yu. Once those team fights coming around, there's got to be some kind of answer to anti-heal, and you do see Oath has made the first response with it, picked up a Brawler's Beat Stick for his first item. But even Baskin with just his own personal self-healing he has from the Radiance. Neu has to use beads because Gino gets a nice pluck right at the tower line. Oath teleports in with the Trickster Spirit, but there's not much more to be gained from there.
No, Gino is pretty tanky at this point. Already has 23 stacks on the Thieves, and isn't it just aggressive play from the Hooves? It has been Masked running it down constantly. It seems like there's zero regard, and well, he's still doing it.
Gonna slam Dude Man for about half of his health, and he'll have to retreat back all the way towards the green buff for safety, and that's not a place that you want to rely on as your safety mechanic, is deep, deep, deep into your own jungle.
Mass now approaching the red buff again. Herculean Hooves trying to keep pressure on Sleekness side of the jungle. Oceans and Nehu in range to defend, but severely outnumbered.
Baskin and Mass will try and take this red buff down, and it'll be a successful defense for it. Gino will walk over and pick it up. They get an ult out of Oceans, which is a big one for them, and gives them pressure to start aiming for these Scorpions. They'll take down the one on the left side. Meanwhile, the one on the right side of the map has already been dropped. So that means that right at that 10-minute mark, we will see that Fire Giant and Pyromancer start spawning in, and I would not be surprised if we see the Herculean Hooves make their aggressive mark immediately.
But it's been a deceptive pace of this game so far, J-Mac. Sure, the Hooves have been establishing pressure, consistently invading. They've got the kill lead, but experience, gold, largely equal at this point of the game. The Hooves are just playing with more confidence. They're playing as if they have a large lead, even though it's generally even across the board. Even towers starting to favor Sleekness. That right-hand soul lane tower, yeah, that's like a stiff breeze from getting knocked over. And even inside of the dual lane, because Snoopy has been rotating so consistently to these invades, his tower is starting to lack as well. Sure, Gold Fury now spawned on the map, POI available, and the Herculean Hooves certainly, likely going to keep up that aggressive styling. Means that the Sleekness squad is going to have to make a decision. Do they want to defend or what?
Snoopy pops the boar and throws out some extra damage at Dude Man, and that will deter the fight, but that's a huge defensive cooldown taken away from Snoopy as he's lost out on his one big safety mechanic. Chronic gets knocked up by Mass, pushed against the wall. Dash from Meerkat will get some big damage and get an ultimate out of the solo laner. Now Dude Man is the one in trouble as Gino is rotated over, uses the lurking in the waters to get away from Oathsy. And Oath will be able to at least push Gino back to the tower.
That's a lot of damage onto the dual lane of Herculean Hooves. Snoopy also lacking that ultimate means that team fight ability is lost out a bit here. Sleekness maybe looking for a bit of a dive.
Oceans dives in, uses the ultimate, doesn't catch Snoopy because he had the beads, but
Rip.
The beads will not save him from the damage. Oath with 1,000 cuts, and Dude Man with the banner will drop it down and take Snoopy out of commission as well as that tier 1 tower. But Mask is on the way, leaps in, looking for the damage with the Rend. Oceans left out all alone. Dude Man gets plucked, has to use the beads. Mask uses Sentinel and Zeus, and one more basic to take him down. Nehu makes their rotation with the Dragonfly, goes into the ultimate, gets all 3 swipes, but it's not enough damage to take out Gino, and Oath is out of range for the powwow.
Basket actually doing a little disrespectful back before he
oh
walks
my
in and
lord.
takes Nehu's life, and he's done.
Nehu's gone. Oath well under half. Dude Man under the tower as well. With Baskin's rotation, it turns the fight on its head, and now Herculean Hooves are the one with all the pressure in duo.
Well, now, what are they going to do with that pressure? Could start to look towards this Gold Fury since Meerkat has already rotated in. Snoopy on the respawn should be able to join you there as well. And Nehu's dead for an entire 10 seconds. Dude Man Bro doesn't go back to base, so he's sticking around at half health and less than half mana. Nobody here to contest the Gold Fury. Herculean Hooves picked that one up easily, and that Sleekness getting aggressive. That's where it all starts, trying to invade, or rather dive, that tier 1 tower on the left-hand side, and successful in taking out Snoopy, but at what cost? You were there for 20, 30 seconds maybe? That's a lot of time for the Hooves to respond on the map, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it was enough time for Mass to run basically all the way from base back towards the fight and allow for Baskin to make his rotation from mid and get a huge turnaround kill against Nehu, just dropping that supernova on top of his head, and then there was nowhere for him to go. Great pathing with the paint targeter, able to take him down, and well, Dude Man gets caught by the boar from Snoopy. Gino as well with the rotation. Now Oceans gets plucked away, and well, just as previously, it was the Sleekness diving a tier 1 tower to try and kill the Hooves dual lane. Well, now it's been flipped on its head, and the Hooves are doing it right back to him.
But what was the difference? The Hooves did it in like 5 seconds, and Nehu realizes that, all right, I could rotate over, but they're already leaving, so instead shifts his attention to his own red buff, and likely a good decision as the Hooves are now starting to work their way over that direction. Had he not cleared it, it's likely an invade that goes their way as well. This pace, man, it's been breakneck so far. 8 kills in 13.5 minutes, and 6-2 is how the slash line pans out in favor of the Herculean Hooves, but gold still very even, only 1,500 separating these squads.
And you said it before we even started playing these games, this is the Hooves playstyle, the disrespectful, in-your-face, gas pedal style of play that's so famous for the North American Challenger Circuit. If they're basically the embodiment of what you would imagine for NA SCC SMITE play. It's constantly diving into your face, diving in the back line, stealing your buffs, and, well, killing every one of your teammates as they're attempting to do here. Joe Oceans gets caught in the middle of 4 of them, and he will not have an escape route because Meerkat cuts it off and takes him down with the Tallow Assault.
All right, I'm going to say it because he told me to. Oceans burns a lot of cooldowns and creates space, but maybe not enough, as Oath finds himself retreating into the Tier 2 tower. Chronic on the peel, tries to make sure his boy gets out of there alive, but on Sun Wukong is allowed to position this aggressively.
Mass blinks against Nayu, forces him back the board, gets the purification beads, and he's already lost his Aegis as well. Mass will be more than happy to dive right in, drops his own ultimate and takes him down, but Chronic all the while able to pick up Snoopy. It's Dudeman in trouble as he's been dove under the Tier 2 tower. Meerkat will be the one to take his live. Oath has to go into the Powwow defensively because of how many people are diving. How many can he pull back? It's going to be 3 of them. It's a massive ultimate in his favor. 1,000 Cuts is doing a lot of damage back to Mass. Use the barrier, but it's not enough. Oath able to turn this one around, helping take out 3.
Baskin now on the retreat, uses the Disapparate. Oceans on the respawn is here for the chase out, but nobody can move up with him. Chronic, very low HP, doesn't want to utilize that ultimate, so instead resets himself back to lane. Herculean Hooves been playing with a lot of confidence here, maybe too much confidence as they move into that Tier 2 tower. Phenomenal ultimate from Oath, completely shifts up that engagement, and take a peek at the relics across the board. Both teams, heavy commitment inside of that engagement. Only 2 sets of beads still available for Sleekness. Dude Man Bro, 429, and Chronic maintain theirs, whereas on the other side, only 1 set of beads available, and that's for Snoopy. Meditation, one of the best defensive tools on the side of Herculean Hooves, still available for sustain and mana sustain, but maybe not enough so that they can look towards these neutral objectives. Oni Fury going to be spawning up in just over a minute. Pyromancer a little bit further out, so with that engagement panning out how it does, neither team really has a true path to utilize it. They can't really just walk it down and try and find farm elsewhere, especially considering, look at the tower states. Sleekness already taken out both side lane Tier 1s. Where are you going to go to push your farm? You want to push into mid and have the Hooves grouped as 5? I'm not sure.
Oh, Meerkat will try and at least answer in kind and take out another Tier 1 tower, so solo lane Tier 1 will fall. 500 more gold for the Hooves, and look at the lead that Baskin has been able to build up all the while, hitting level 17 before the 17-minute mark, getting a 2-level lead over his opposition, and maybe even to get some more here. Mass gets the ultimate away from Oath, but he immediately uses a jump down and go back to safety towards Dude Man, using that teleport in order to go back to safety, and will dive back into his own Tier 2 tower as Gino is forced 2 players back there, almost seemingly by himself. Meerkat now dives against Nayu under the Tier 1 tower, but Meerkat takes a little bit more than he bargained for. And now with Chronic on the rotation, may spell the end of the solo laner, but Chronic isn't focused on him, he's focused on Mask.
And it's Chronic keeping them outside of the tower for now. Meerkat still very low, can't go in. It's Oceans with a blink in and huge Caledonian board.
He's going to be taken out instantly. Chronic tries to go away with the bird form, and he will manage to make it back to the Phoenix, but the Tier 2 tower was the primary target of the Hooves, and now it's Oath who's got their sights locked in. Baskin takes him down with the Stellar Burst, and the Herculean Hooves with 2 kills and a tower now starting to make their way towards Fire Giant.
Man, the Hooves forced an engagement on the left-hand side, forced Sleekness to back up, take out about 50% of those dual laners' HP bars, and then immediately collapse into mid to shut down a Tier 2. And Sleekness was not ready to put up a defense, and they're not ready to defend the Fire Giant similarly. So, Herculean Hooves with Fire Giant on 5 members and a phenomenal siege composition. The front line of Mast and Meerkat, Gino, nigh unstoppable. What are you going to do against Cavalry Charge, a pluck from Sobek, or a leap in from Mass, who's benefiting from not only additional HP from Fire Giant HP 5, but also a straight up secondary HP bar from Sentinel of Zeus. It's so hard for Sleekness to find value in the backline of Herculean Hooves. Oath now essentially has shown that Powwow is pretty hard to use inside of these fights. We've only really seen one really good one, and it was a really good one, but besides that, I think Oath needs to shift his attention instead towards being that burst god. Blink into the back line, find either Snoopy or Baskin, and go for 100% of their HP bar. I think if you go into the Powwow Ultimate at this point, you're only burning beads. No one on your team besides Oceans is really making use of that lack of CC immunity. And as you've been highlighting, J-Mac, a lot of ultimate CC immunity on the side of the Herculean Hooves. A lot of things you have to burn through. I think it all has to come down to, can I kill Baskin? And if I can, I got to do it real quickly. If Oath trades his life for either Baskin or Snoopy, great value.
I think it's not just Baskin he needs to kill quickly, it's anybody else. You've got Meerkat with this Guan Yu can provide some big sustain, but they are targeting Baskin well under half health now after the ultimate from Nayu, but he gets into the Sapray. Nayu trying to throw some extra shots, and Will manages to force
There it
the
is.
Aegis out of Baskin, so they do take down the mid laner and a little bit extra. Snoopy falls down, Gino getting low as well, pulled in, and Dude Man Bro will be the one who gets the credit for the kill, but Mask and Meerkat have made a rotation for the cleanup. Mask able to pick up a double kill, looking for a third one as Chronic is on the run, gets into the bird form just for the time being. Neu and Oceans will separate away from the solo laner, but now maybe Neu who gets solidified out by the team. Meerkat and Mask diving onto the mid laner. He will fall down. It's a kill for Meerkat.
Man, Mast is essentially a tactical nuke at this point. Jumps in, uses the Sentinel of Zeus, and everybody around him loses 50% HP, and he gets 50% more. It seems like a pretty good ability to me. Sleekness has a good strategy. They immediately dive on a Baskin when he finds them isolated inside of the long lane, but Soul is so survivable. To Saporate buys him about 5 seconds. The Beads buys him a ton of time. Aegis is like 30 seconds later. That's a good view of how long it took them to really kill Baskin. Look at the disparity between the Beads and Aegis timers. He was alive for too long. That was the discussion. Can Sleekness kill Baskin? And if they do so, they need to do it quickly. They did it pretty fast, not fast enough. Herculean Hooves on the rotation in are able to find the return kills, but finding 3 kills on the side of Sleekness, taking Fire Giant off of not only the ADC, but the support in the mid laner as well, essentially crushes this Fire Giant power play. Sure, Meerkat and Mask maintain their buffs, have a good deal of survivability, can sustain these fights, but your DPS takes a major hit.
Maybe they can find Gino here, but at the very least, they do get lurking in the waters from him, but there's the rest of his team waiting for him in the mid lane in case Sleekness continues to dive. If you want the visual representation of that last fight of how long it took them to kill, Baskin walked into the lane right at the top of the purple buff camp and died at the entrance of the Draugr camp on the top side of the map. That's the distance he was able to travel before they finally took him down between Beads, Desaporate, and the Aegis. Long time to allow a mid laner of all things, but I mean that's just what happens when you go against Assault. So many escape options, so much immunity from CC, and then the Desaporate plus Aegis is what, like 5+ seconds of damage immunity entirely.
But Sleekness buy themselves another opportunity. Beads and Aegis still down for Baskin, so if they're able to find him yet again, could be a way for them to win the team fight a little bit more quickly this time around. But that window is quickly dwindling. Pyromancer taken out by the Herculean Hooves, and Baskin already has his Beads back.
Mask is just chasing Chronic out of the solo lane as he can. Gets the bird out with the jump. And unfortunately for Chronic, he has to use the ultimate instantly because the rest of Herculean Hooves are here trying to cut off his escape options. But all the while, Gino's been taking a lot of damage from Oath and the rest of Sleekness. He will fall in the backline. Oceans goes to the ultimate, manages to get Purification Beads and the Boar at the very least for his troubles.
Oh no!
Oath dives in against Snoopy. Snoopy has the beads to get out of Powwow, so Baskin will take down Neu. Oath jumps down off the Powwow, but it may just be to his own death as him and Oceans fall. That's 4 down for Sleekness.
Feels so bad for Oath. Dude, man, bro, trying to do something on the map. Mast able to rotate in and stop this Phoenix from going down. Oath actually plays that just about as well as he can with the information that he has. I don't think you can just assume that Caledonian Boar is slamming a minion wave next to Snoopy. So he teleports in, says, all right, we know his ultimate's down. I can definitely kill him in a DPS war, and not the case. Caledonian Boar stops the 1,000 cuts and stops his chance at winning.
And Mass is just stopping Dude Man from even attempting to make his way back to the base. So Herculean Hooves, they'll close out game 1 just shy of 23, but not before Mass able to pick up one more kill in the process. 19-9, the final kill count for the Herculean Hooves.
It's like shades of that last Jade Dragon set, isn't it? Where it's just this team was playing with more confidence than the opposition. They were forcing engagements, invading buffs, forcing neutral objectives, and all from dead even game state, gold, and experience. At times, actually favoring Sleekness, but you wouldn't be able to tell based on the play on the map. It was always the Hooves making proactive plays, and what did that net them? 1-0.
With it. We are going to cut it to a break. When we come back, we'll break down game 1 and get you guys set up for game 2, so stick around. We'll be right back.
Meet the cereal kids are crazy for, Cthulhu. Start your morning madness with a bowl of morning happiness.
Cthulhu sale is ongoing now. You will take part. Save up to 33% off gem bundles. You will take part.
Crazy crispity, crazy crunchity, crazy
Select chests up to 50% off. You will take part. Boosters, avatars, wards, and more up to 50% off. You will take part. Party up with up to 3 times favor. Worshippers and XP. You will take part. This is your duty.
Crazy Cthulhu-y, Cthulhu. Surgeon General's warning, Cthulhu's are not of this world and should not be ingested by children or adults over the age of 80. Gems are not included as a prize because Cthulhu's are not real. Reality is meaningless, time's a construct. They not all hope when you ingest Cthulhu's. Use as directed, part of balanced breakfast. For the crispity, crunchity, crazy crunch, get cuckoo with Cthulhu.
You will take part.
Of a balanced breakfast.
Can we take a commercial break?
Cthulhu's may be part of a balanced breakfast, but gems can be part of a balanced, well, number of skins or anything else that you can have in the game. I don't know where I was even trying to go with that one balanced breakfast. Well, we'll give it like a C tier for the effort at least on that
Definitely
one.
had effort.
But if you want some gems, you can pick them up during this time from August 20th to September 6th. You can pick up gems up to 33% off for some of these bundles and pick yourselves up some gnarly skins, some avatars, wards, whatever you may be looking for in SMITE, or even maybe try to save up towards that tier 5 Cthulhu skin that's going to be coming out soon.
Look, J-Mac, when you're selling gems, you got to really push how desperate you are. Here, watch this.
Okay.
Please buy gems. Oh, God. They already docked my pay. There's so many gems. I can't eat gems. Please. And then they buy the gems because they feel bad for you.
Gotcha. He's only had peanut butter and jelly for the last 3 days, guys.
You've gotten peanut butter? They give me like marmalade. It was awful.
I feel so bad for you. You got to buy gems.
Buy some gems.
You got to buy some gems. It's getting out of hand right now. Speaking of getting out of hand, Game 1 got pretty out of hand for Sleekness very quickly. Herculean Hooves. While they had a ton of confidence in the early game, there was never really a lead, but they played like they had 10,000 gold up from minute number 1 and able to push it through just shy of 23 minutes to close out that first one.
Yeah, it just felt like Sleekness was playing very cautiously on the map despite having some advantages that I thought they could have been utilizing. I mean, every single time we saw beads get burned or ultimates get burned, Palau used aggressively, it was, all right, well, it didn't work. They beads did. I guess that's it. And, well, no, you burned the beads. It's down for like 130 seconds. You could try again the second that ultimate is back available. I want to see Sleekness play with a little bit more oomph, play with a little bit more decision-making and active style. This fight right here, I thought, was some of the best we saw from Sleekness. Unfortunately for them, it takes a little bit too long, and they do lose out on the engagement afterward, but that was the first time I really thought that they were trying to make something happen on the map of their own volition.
They were able to get, as you said, a few big kills with it, but then, well, Masked and Meerkat showed up and decided to shut down the party and ruin all the fun. Ended up picking, I think, a 3-for-3 trade because of it. And with it, Hooves were able to continue pushing through. But a little bit more confidence out of Sleekness, like we saw in that last fight, will do them a lot of good, especially when you're going up against, well, the disrespectful W key of the Herculean Hooves. They want to run it down. They're going to pick gods to run it down. Maybe an adjustment in the drafts to try and take some of these big picks away, like the Artemis. Maybe take Geno's Sobek away as well.
I think Mass Nike might be one of the biggest problems. Look at the
Maybe
damage charts.
Woo!
18,000 put out by the jungler on the Herculean Hooves. That's kind of crazy. I'm not going to mince words. Jungle's a little bit weak here in Season 8. It's not the strongest role in the game. You're not really getting a whole ton of farm. So the fact that he's topping the charts and being as involved as he was, incredibly impressive.
And on the Warrior jungle, no less. Not the super high damage assassins like we've been seeing recently. Not the Kamazots or even, with the Dodgy with some damage through. No, it's going to be this Nike. So picks and bans, game number 2. Let's see what adjustments Sleekness make as we jump right into them. Last time around, it was the Tiamats, the Emojis, Gilgamesh, Osiris, the more standard bans that we've been seeing across the board for all levels of play, whether it be the SCC or whether it be for SPL. We will still see the Raijin banned away. I believe Sleekness took that as a 3rd ban last time around. We'll see what other adjustments are made.
Yeah, Sleekness finds themselves in the first pick position, so we'll see where their priority lies. Herculean Hooves doing the exact same thing that we saw last time around. Yamoja taken off the table here. I think the adjustments likely going to show themselves rear their heads in the actual picks, and as I say that, prove myself wrong. Soul already banned away. Maybe that's just the Baskin effect. I don't think that Soul was the real reason the Herculean Hooves were able to find so much pressure in the early game, but when Baskin's on the enemy team, it kind of feels like he's dominating you regardless of the facts.
They will take Sobek away as well as a nice response, recognizing that Geno was a massive problem for them. Those plucks were consistent. I mean, it shut down Oath's first rotation to the dual lane instantly. He tries to blink through, and Gina says, no, that's my carry. Get out of my lane. Get away from my side of the map, and respectfully shuts that one down. But because of the bans that went through with the Odin and the Artemis, Tiamat manages to slip through. Sleekness will pick that up as their first pick, and Morgan Le Fay has a quick response for the Herculean Hooves.
So the top 2 in-slot mages are
Correct.
selected inside of this game, and I mean top 2 as in Tiamat number 1, Morgan Le Fay number 2. I am confident in saying that is the case because of just how much utility and damage Tiamat has. She's not just a frontliner, she's not just a backliner, she's both. She's capable of doing it all. Whereas Morgan Le Fay just has a ton of damage and decent movement speed. Osiris locked in on the other side. That could flex into solo lane, could be inside of the jungle. More often than not, we do see it locked in for the jungle with that chop build. Stone Cutting Sword very early on has a lot of potential to fight inside of the early game. But I'm surprised with these was the Osiris selection because of what just gets locked in on the side of Sleekness. Gilgamesh was still available.
Camazotz as well. So now with Oath here, it's kind of a question mark if this Camazotz is going to be jungle or if it's going to be solo. I know that Relentless One loves playing Camazotz solo lane, but Oath really does like Camazotz. It is one of his big highlight picks. So we'll see where this Gilgamesh and Camazotz kind of fall into place. Meanwhile, the flip side, we do see Izanami locked in for the side of the Herculean Hooves, and as we get into the bans, we will see Ymir, we will see Fafnir banned away as well. That one will be by Sleekness, so taking some shots at the supports.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we see Sleekness actually banning out the Fafnir. That's one of Ocean's favorite picks, and Who's taking away the Ymir is another one of Ocean's favorite picks, so he's going to fall even further into his own god pool. Cupid being the selection for the Who's as well. There's a lot of good hunters.
That's a respect ban right there. Dude, man, bro, played really well on it in his last set, and Who's recognized and say, all right, we don't want to deal with that. Just takes off the board maybe a little bit because they've got Iza Guan Yu, so it shuts down the mobility, but I mean, that's some respect when you get a Cupid banned away from you of all things.
Yeah, but it leaves him available to take the Rom, which has a great matchup into Morgan Le Fay, who is very immobile, only gets 20% additional movement speed when she lands that third ability. So what are the snipes going to do? In the late game, probably around 1,500 damage, and if you're adept at landing those snipes, Morgan Le Fay likely going to have a very hard time getting involved in these fights.
Okay, well, we thought, Gilgamesh flex over for jungle or solo lane. No, it's looking like this may be a Gilgamesh support game for Sleekness. It's not the first time that the NASCC has done this. I think Blugan was one of the first players to bring Gilgamesh in support. Not sure how well that worked out for him in that game, but it's not uncommon to see it, at least for North America, to kind of run this kind of more outlandish attempt.
Look, I think that Gilgamesh support certainly has merits, right? You go for this high HP build, like just about every single support item gives you HP, and Gilgamesh has a very unique ability with the Sun Scimitar, the first ability. Based on your own HP pool, you deal more damage when you have that first ability activated. So go for things like the Frostbound Hammer, the Sovereignties, anything that really stacks you up, Winged Blade as well, the generalized support build, and you're still going to deal okay damage. You've got decent initiation, dropkick, single target to be sure, but Winds of Shamash, that's essentially an Odin cage, and if you're allowed to just leap in because you're a full tank, you're going to keep people locked down for a pretty good amount of time. I think that it can work, it's just high execution out of support.
And from the support, well, previously, we probably won't see it nearly as much anymore, especially, at least not this game. You could run the Animosity build with it because you can now double dip that health bar, dealing additional damage for you, whether we be with that Sun Scimitar or with the Animosity passive with it. But it will be the Sentinel's Gift coming out of both supports this time. No War Flag for Gino. However, in the mid lane, I'm a little curious that Neu went for the Sands of Time for the Tiamat. Typically, we've been seeing a lot more of the Vampiric Shroud as that starter item. Yeah,
I think Nehu just really likes CDR. Generally goes for the Chronos Pendant in that first slot as well, and I think it is one of the more fun stats to build in the game. Snoopy takes a ton of damage early on, forced to use the leap away, and that's the strength of Gilgamesh. He just walks up to the wave, drop kicks a minion straight into Snoopy's chest, and well, he's just got to hold that damage.
Not to mention the piercing autos that can come from Dude Man as well with the ROM, so you couple in the minions are no longer a factor for him because he can still hit you through all of them. It creates a massive problem.
Jeez.
Blink, drop kick again. Oceans just unrelenting in this support role, but doesn't manage to take out Snoopy. Instead, Snoopy will be able to dash away back towards safety of the tower and still holds on to the purification beads. Interestingly enough, Dude Man's the one who has to pop them now.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, it was an early solo lane gank for Mast, or maybe not solo lane, mid rather. It's Nehu that falls down for first blood, and Tiamat falling down this early doesn't feel so great. That's your late game win condition right there, and already put at a deficit. 1.5 minutes into this game, quick start.
Oceans goes for another dropkick attempt, but the minion misses both Snoopy and Gino, and now he's in
on a
danger
tear.
because Mask is here. His leap is down, and so is his health bar. Mask, with another big rotation, nets himself his second kill.
Yeah, that is a very fast start for Mast. I mean, tough one. We're going to get a look back here at how First Blood pans out, and it's pretty simple. You don't have many abilities at level 2, so it's pretty basic how it pans out. Mask goes in, lands Sickle. Oh, you're slowed now. I'm going to auto you a bunch of times, and that's exactly all he needs. It's a ton of damage early on from the Mannequin Scepter. I say that item generally starts to fall off around level 6 to 7, but levels 1 through 5, it's one of the highest DPS boosts you can get inside of the game. I mean, it's ticking for like 30 to 40 damage after you stack up a couple auto attacks. You only really have like 500 HP on average at level 2. It's kind of hard to deal with. That's why generally you want to play safe in the early, and Nehu just a little too far up.
Gino throws Dude Man into the sky, and Snoopy will actually dash aggressively back towards their side of the map, just peppering autos against Oceans and Dude Man. Snoopy is on the losing end of the trade, however, and now it's just Gino alone to try and take down Dude Man, looking for the kill, but just cannot find it. Goes in for the dash, but drop kicks him into the tower. Oceans picks up a nice kill on the support.
If Oceans is just a microsecond later, I mean, we see him get pummeled. Dude, man, bro. Ganesh does a pretty decent amount of damage in the early game, but fortunately, Gilgamesh able to interrupt that third ability and keep his ADC alive. Sleekness keeping themselves in the game, but who was the aggressor? Again, who is the one making the proactive play? It's Herculean Hooves. It's them looking for ganks in mid, ganks in solo. It's them dashing in aggressively, Snoopy with like 20% HP into the side of Sleekness through their minion wave. It feels like all the confidence still on the Chaos side.
But there is some shining hope here for Sleekness because they're trying to get those fights through the dual lane. They're utilizing the early damage in CC that Oceans provides with this Gilgamesh to at least try and make strides for themselves, and they've done so. 2 kills for the dual lane, 2 deaths in the dual lane for the Herculean Hooves.
And what are you going to be able to do with that pressure? Sleekness just trying to confirm their own buffs for now, and Oath and Oceans starting to make the rotation over. Seems like the Hooves really do have the pressure inside of the dual lane onto them, but Oath just strips away one camp and walks away. That's a small lead now for Sleekness over here in the long lane, but keep your eyes on these junglers, man. Ikavale already picked up for Mast. Dude swinging. I don't think anyone on the map can take a 1v1 against him right now.
No, it's going to be incredibly difficult now that he especially has ultimate online, so he can save that blink or use the blink to initiate and then have the ultimate for the final chase down or the disengage if need be. He's got his stun available to him at this point in time. So, yeah, if you thought Mask hurt earlier on when he was ganking your mid laner at level 2, well, through 4 more levels and a full item on top of that, Mask will feel non-stoppable against this Tiamat. But luckily for Nehu, he does have his leap away for now, so he can try and escape away from Mask if need be.
Speaking of Nehu, point of correction, it's not the Chronos Pendant, but instead Karen's coin as Oceans finds himself isolated inside of the jungle. Gino, go ahead, back up, not able to shut down that Gilgamesh. Those lines, maybe serrated edge coming up here for him, but if he's looking to just be another carry for his team with a little bit of utility through Gauntlet of Thieves, that could be an interesting path. I'm excited to see how Oceans decides to itemize going forward.
Meerkat taken in the sky by Chronic, but no further aggression from there. We'll just make sure to heal back up, and going up against the King Arthur, that's just kind of what you got to deal with even as a Guan Yu. I think it was a quest that he ended up picking up, and I catch myself that so many times watching Gilgamesh is I'll look up and I'll go, hey, there you go. He's got a tier 2 towards his first item, and okay, why has he got a tier 1 item? Okay, why does he have another item after? What's going on here? But sometimes it is just that quest that does get picked up, but sometimes you do end up liking that tier 1 item, whether it be a damage or a defense-based item. You got so many options available, so you never know where it might end up winding for you.
Yeah, a little Gilgamesh math here. If you decide to actually finish the item that you pick up, for example, this katana, you just saved yourself 700 gold. That is, your passive essentially just puts 700 gold in your pocket, and that's pretty good. But if you sell the katana, it's like 300 gold in your pocket. It's a pretty significant drop in value. But if your build doesn't really lend itself well towards that katana tree, 300 gold in your pocket still doesn't feel so bad. But I'm excited. I think that generally that item is so valuable, so expensive as a tier 1 that you're likely going to finish it regardless of how your build looks. You pick up like I don't know, like a spiked gauntlet, you're not feeling so bad if you have to sell it, but katanas, that's a high roll.
Mass, a leap from Oceans, will try and be aggressive against the jungler. Now Mass has to leap away because Oath is rotated through. Screech is good. Has about a hell if need be. The snipes from Dude Man not enough to take him down. So Oath trying to go for the dive, but Snoopy is there to deter him. Baskin on rotation. He'll throw out the Wildfire to get some damage, but no further follow-up from the Sleekness. They're going on full retreat. Neu pepper some damage against Gino, but that's all that the Sleekness needs. They just want to get out of there after expending so much trying to get in.
Small choke from Oath there, who just gets a poor angle on the dive bomb inside of the Bat Out of Hell and goes straight into the wall, which creates enough space for Mass to just walk away from there. We even saw that Oath wanted to keep chasing, just did not have the range and the ability to do so, so Mast is able to walk away with his life. That would have been a huge bounty and a huge boon for Sleekness had they been able to shut him down.
Chronic tried so hard to time that blue buff perfectly, make sure he had just enough damage to confirm it, and then Meerkat gets it with one tick of Tallow Assault. A little unfortunate for him, but yeah, that rotation up towards the red buff being so aggressive from Sleekness, we'd like to see the play for it. They're not really down at all. 400 gold, that's nothing. Experience, pretty much even across the board aside from half level in the jungle and mid. So this is the best time for them to go for the fight, and they're going to try and go for it one more time. Oceans blinks in with the ultimate, but Snoopy and Gino are not deterred one bit. They will stare him down and force him to disengage his own fight.
Yeah, Ocean's showing that he's a little bit squishy right now. Dark Portal from Snoopy as well as a couple auto attacks is all it took to drop him at the HP that you're seeing right now. He's not feeling so good inside of that one, but is at least able to maintain his own life. Can't say the same for mid. Oath in trouble.
Dives under the tower with his ultimate, but Baskin's got the shots from his taken down. Nehu sitting near full health, but not enough damage to take down either the mid or jungle. Now over in the dual lane,
huge.
Oceans, who doesn't have his ultimate, in a dive by Snoopy against Dude Man. There is no shot of him getting out. With Oceans using his own leap, may have just sealed his own fate. Snoopy will now use those boomerang autos to go right through the minions and right through the health bar of Oceans.
Dude, man, bro, you can't show your fear on your face like that. Bud is not able to escape, had already used the roll, so Snoopy dashes aggressive and lands like 16 auto attacks while Dude Man Bro just tries to walk away. In situations like that where you know, I'm not living this, there's no way I get out of here alive, at least try and return some damage. Maybe could have created a situation where Oceans actually picks up a kill off that leap, and maybe that's what Oceans was playing around, but instead, Dude Man Bro shows his back to the enemy and, well, dies with his back to the enemy.
And when you dash into your enemy, use your anything to just get to the back line, and then as soon as you're in the back line, you go, oh wait, this is not where I want it to be.
This guy hurts.
We're gonna. I don't think I can do this anymore, guys. Sayonara, I'm out of here. And unfortunately, he walks out with no health available to himself. Couldn't even attempt, or didn't even attempt to fight back. I can't say couldn't because he had all the opportunity to. But as you highlighted, he didn't fight. He dashed in and just said, well, that's it for me.
Yeah, see you guys later. Dude Man Bro, though, is not too far behind inside the lane. Levels largely equalized across the board, barring support, where there's a 2-level lead in favor of Gino. Ocean's been playing very aggressively and has fallen down twice so far this game. That's a tough start, but I like this. He's keeping it up. He's not slowing down. He's still trying to find those proactive plays, and on support, 2-level deficit, not the biggest deal.
Dive against Meerkat, but he's made it under the tier 1 tower. Oath is trying for a Chronic, will tank the tower up for him. Meerkat doesn't have his ultimate available just yet, but he's got enough physical protection. He can stay alive for just a little bit longer. Mask will dive in, get the double root with the Lord of the Afterlife.
Still
gets
alive?
the bat out of hell. Meerkat somehow still living through this, but Oath will grab him, but not before Mask picks up a double.
Sleekness, this is 2 games in a row now where you guys decide, all right, we got to dive. We're falling behind, and, well, your dive took like 40 seconds. Let's Mask find that double dunk over the wall. Meanwhile, in mid, Baskin and Gino getting very aggressive. It's all up to Oceans.
That
nice silence.
That was so perfect, but Gino may have still sealed his fate as he's trapped in the middle of 3. Dude Man rotates over, and that will be the end of the support. Baskin is still here to pepper some damage, and
What's up,
Mast makes a rotation from the solo lane gank he just had to take down Neyu under his tier 1.
Yeah, Mast shows up in mid, says, hey, I just killed your soul lane in your jungle, and I guess I might as well pick one up here after when I'm done with that, let me walk into your jungle and strip all of that as well. Both back camps and blue buff going the way of Mast. This lead is starting to balloon out of control. Oceans finds himself staring down the barrel of a Baskin and maybe not exactly where he wants to be. Loses out on half of his HP. So, 11 minutes in, let's get an XP roundup. It's I didn't mean it.
Round down.
6,000 experience in favor of the Herculean Hooves.
No, round down for this one. Round down.
5,000. Oh, that's still bad.
Yeah, it doesn't help out that much.
No.
And gold, what was that one again? 4,000. Okay. Maybe round down that one to like 3,000. I don't know.
It's still not great.
Still not so hot there for Sleekness. They're not having the best game 2. Herculean Hooves may just be having a better game 1. Just still showing that confidence. Still willing to, no matter what, just dive through. And you saw a lot of it highlighted in that solo lane fight. They go for the tier 1 tower dive. And how long did Chronic just stand at the tower line waiting for Oath to get the damage, waiting for Oath to do the job before Chronic said, maybe I should probably try and help out here, but by that point it was too late because Mast had already made his rotation, gets a huge double dunk under tower. I mean, Herculean Hooves are just playing lights out right now.
They are, and now what are they going to do with the lead? Pyromancer, the only neutral objective that is feasible at this point of the game, could be the POI that the Herculean Hooves set their eyes on. That said, we haven't seen Gino rotate over to this right-hand side too often, so maybe we just wait it out until this Primal Fury respawns. Either way, I think the Hooves are just fine with the current pace, and wouldn't you be as well with this kind of lead, with this kind of late-game composition as well? Izanami and Morgan Le Fay scale incredibly well. Ganesh actually has the hardest hitting ultimate in the game, so got to think that objectives are going to be favoring them as well.
Half of Oath's health bar is now gone, and Oceans has to leap away from Gino and Mast, who are continuing to put aggression in the mid lane, trying to play through that lead that they've built for not just Mask, but even Baskin has about a half level to a 1 level lead over Nehu. Just been unsuccessful in getting his own farm and hasn't been able to make too much of an impact in these big fights. Gino drops the pillars and catches 2 in the midst of it. Mask will find 2, and Meerkat able to take down 1. Oath is the first one who will fall. In the midst of all of it is Chronic trying to do anything he can on this King Arthur, but he's got no targets, gets feared away. Meerkat just damaging him so much with this Tallow Assault. Neyu dove aggressively against Baskin, but now he has to walk away as Meerkat takes down his opponent.
3 members of Sleekness still standing, and all of them in mid. Oceans on his last leg won't be around for the defense. Herculean Hooves, they get the red buff, and they want more. Tier 1 tower, Tier 2 dive.
Dark Portal already expended by Snoopy, but they don't care about that. They're just looking for Dude Man. Aegis is good, but only for a moment. Now Ocean's caught in the midst. Double kill for Snoopy, and Nehu, the last survivor, is now Oath is rotated back after dying. Snoopy is in danger. Tier 1 tower is there deterring him from walking away. Oath will pick him up with a bat out of hell, but Nehu's the one in danger. Meerkat will not let him get away, but unfortunately for Meerkat, there is a wall in front of him that will stop him from continuing the chase.
Oath now in a position to maybe chase out this kill. Meerkat, no ultimate, no beads. All Oath needs is to land the vampiric bats, and that should be the end of it. Finds it, but the ult's back up, bud. Sorry. Hops on Epona and rides on out of there. Meerkat maintains his life.
Meerkat makes it out. Hooves extend their kill count up to 12, now sitting at the 14-minute mark. And they didn't even get towers, but look at the gold lead they've built back up. 6,000 nearly in their favor, closer towards, I guess, 5,500 for themselves. But it's not getting any easier for Sleekness.
10,000 experience? When did that happen? What was it, like 6K just a moment ago? 4,000 leap in just about 2 minutes, and maybe the gold a little bit slow to keep up with it, but Primal Fury has respawned. Herculean Hooves able to just group up and walk on over there. Where is this XP gap coming from? 2 levels out of solo, 2 levels in the jungle, 1 in mid, 3 in support. Well, everybody's got a lead on the map, and 1 for Snoopy over Dude Man Bro, 429 in the ADC role. I think Herculean Hooves can essentially do no wrong on the map now. Might as well walk into the Primal Fury and force Sleekness to respond.
Man, I guess it is hard to get experience when they're diving your tower, killing your minions under tower, so you don't even have a chance for their minions to make it there because you're dealing with them instead of the minions. Chronic trying to deal with Baskin, but Baskin goes into the ultimate looking for some big damage, and Mask will be able to clean it up and take the first kill of the fight. Oceans rotates through, gets a drop kick against Mast, and drops the winds, forcing Mast to leap away with his ultimate. But Meerkat more than willing to dive the Tier 1 tower. Nehu getting chunked by the Tallow Assault. Meerkat Will dash through, make sure he doesn't get stunned, while Mask picks up Oceans, and Nayu has no chance of making out as the cavalry charge has come back offline.
They can't keep getting away with this, J-Mac. Herculean Hooves are just doing whatever they want. I mean, there is zero regard for the map state. There's zero regard for what Sleekness is capable of doing. They're just saying, I'm going to play my game, and I'm going to play it better. And now we're looking at a 16-minute Fire Giant, and look at the defense from Sleekness. It's not there.
They are shredding this Fire Giant, already well under half health. That was less than 10 seconds to take out a Fire Giant at 16 minutes. You don't get to see that very often, and well, the Pyromancer will be even shorter-lived with that lifespan. It will fall down instantly throughout there, and Herculean Hooves will continue to extend that gold lead. 8,000 plus in their favor. Mask trying to solo Oath as they made a rotation to try and stop them, but Mask, again, able to make it out.
Yeah, these XP deficits are so hard to contend with. I mean, we're talking 4 levels in solo now. Chronic, level 13. We saw how that fight started. Baskin gets dove by Chronic. Somehow King Arthur closes gap onto your Morgan Le Fay. Generally, that's a win condition. You're like, oh, I'm feeling good about that. My frontliner is zoning their hyper carry mage. No, Baskin hit him twice and dropped him down to about 20% HP. Chronic was no longer allowed to participate in that fight, while Meerkat just did what Chronic was doing, but better. Dives Nehu and legitimately kills him.
Dude Man is the only person on Sleekness who is not the same level or lower than Gino at this point, and that's about all you need to know for the status of the game. Is a 4-level lead in solo, a 4-level lead, or 3 close to 4-level lead in jungle, 3 between the mids. It's looking a little rough here for Sleekness. Dude Man tries to go for the snipes, throws all 3, thought he was going to get it there for a moment, but the Hooves do secure the Gold Fury and may Sleekness be able to at least grab Gino in the process, but no, Snoopy hits a big Dark Portal, takes down 1. Nayu manages to trade out and grab 1. Snoopy is still looking for the dive, or at least looking for the boxing, but Dude Man will take him down. They lose 2 lives for the Fury.
Herculean Who's playing with their food, go for the Primal Fury with just 2 members, while the other boys were doing whatever they want on the map. Mass does pick up a kill onto Chronic, but that's all he's able to pick up. Dude Man Bro may have stuck around a little too long.
Oh my god.
Nice snipe.
That is a lot of damage coming from Baskin, and to be expected from a level 18 mid laner who's basically been unbothered the entire game, despite all the pressure that they've attempted to put against Baskin. He's been sitting pretty on this Morgan Le Fay.
Meerkat doing what he's been doing this entire time, using cavalry charge inside of an enemy tower. Nehu, Oath, and Oceans locked inside the tier 2 and mid. Baskin going to rejoin his team very shortly here. Only 3 members on the side of the Who's with Fire Giant, though.
Baskin's rotating over, looks for Nehu, takes about half of his health with the Sigil and the Wildfire. Nehu tries to return fire and deals a good bit of damage, but Meerkat heals him up. Now Oath diving on Baskin, will manage to find him. The Dragonflight was down, could not react back towards him. Meerkat is the one on the run. Nehu put some good damage, but Mask dives in with his own ultimate, finds 2, wins drop. Oath picks up a double kill, but Nehu's not going to be so fortunate. He will fall down to Meerkat, and maybe even more. Oath is on a blood pool, getting some health back, but Meerkat is just doing too much damage.
Oceans tries to find the drop kick, gets silenced for his efforts. Meerkat on the chase, but Oceans able to make it over the wall.
Does manage to get out. Now Meerkat's the one in danger. Chronic will stun him, but he's got the cavalry charge back online, and now Snoopy has re-entered the fray from the grave. Makes a quick rotation back towards the dual lane side and putting damage against Chronic. Dude Man almost took out Oceans in the process on his rotation, but able to make it out, and now looking towards tier 2 tower. They'll clear the minions out, but with Chronic here, not sure they can continue the dive against this tier 2.
You sure about that? Chronic's level 15. I think they could do whatever they want. If Chronic gets knocked up by not Gino, he's just dead. Dude Man Bro, though, is able to put out a fair bit of damage. Tier 2 barely standing.
And will stand for the moment. Snoopy gets out his stealth, but Dude Man finds him right after the stealth ends and takes him down with a nice snipe, at least trading out his life and saving that tier 2 tower, but it is standing on just a thread of health.
Fire Giant only on 1 member now of the Herculean Who's, and they didn't group up a single time as 5 members with that Fire Giant power play. They tried their best to take 3 versus 5s, 2 versus 5s, at times even 1 versus 5, and they lose out on a lot of their power play, but gold and experience still largely in their favor.
Baskin in danger. He gets knocked up and caught inside the winds of Shamash and will not make it out. Oceans with a nice rotation and the help of Nehu takes down the mid laner. Knock up and another big drop kick from Oceans will push Mask against the wall to get Nehu out of danger. And Herculean Who's, they're kind of twiddling their thumbs right now with that Fire Giant buff. Now all 5s do not have it as the buff has faded away, so 4 minutes of a Fire Giant buff, and I don't think they got any towers off of it.
A Fire Giant's going to be spawning very soon, and they didn't lose too much of their lead. 6,000 gold still in their favor, so they can force another engagement up against Sleekness, and hopefully with 5 members this time around. Herculean Hooves have not been grouping up, instead have been keeping up that disrespectful level of play, I'd say. It's just been aggression across the board, regardless of who's there or how many people on your team are there. We haven't seen Baskin and Snoopy legitimately fighting together, I'd say, in like the last 12 minutes. Maybe it was like a 3v3 on the red buff. About 8 minutes into the game was the last time Snoopy and Baskin were sinking their damage into the same target. So, Herculean Hooves have a lot of power still that we have not seen. Now, when they group up as 5, Fire Giant, a great POI to force that. We'll see how Sleekness decides to respond. Could be a steal attempt from Dude Man Bro, but he's on the wrong side of the map to put up a defense on Fire Giant. Could be Oceans going for it himself, or just could be a wash and allow the Hooves to take it.
Just gonna walk away from it entirely. Instead, Dude Man goes
That's
to the left
nuts.
side of the map. All 4 of the remaining players of Sleekness just sitting in mid lane. Meanwhile, with Fire Giant respawning and Fire Giant down just as quickly as the last time, thanks to the help of that enhanced frenzy. Saw that pop to the beginning. It was 6 seconds to take that Fire Giant.
Maybe Sleekness thought to themselves, all right, we've been able to win some fights when we have the numbers advantage. No way there's only like 2 people at Fire Giant. I don't want to fight 5 versus 5, so they just don't. And now Herculean Hooves still have plenty of gold to collect on the map. I could understand if you're willing to put up a defense against a Fire Giant push inside of your Phoenix, if it's just your Phoenixes left standing, but 3 tier 2 towers, that's a lot of gold already, 2 of them taken out. And now you've got to defend on your Phoenixes anyway up against the Herculean Hooves. Mask heads back to base just to make sure that nobody's pushing his own Phoenix. So it's going to be a little while until they're able to regroup, but tier 2 tower on left seems like a pretty good target to pick up in the meantime.
Baskin's gonna rotate to try and stop too many minions from
He did
walking forward, but all he needs is to walk in and hit 1 basic attack from the maids. That's how little health bar that had was. He didn't even need that much help to take it out just by himself. Meanwhile, only Fury started by the Hooves and will be taken quickly by the Hooves after. Mass will solo the remainder of its health bar, and Chronic is alone in mid lane. He'll get caught by the Dark Portal, by the knockup from Gino, has to use his beads, and Dark Pillars will drop, holding him in place as Meerkat dives against Neu. Snoopy kicked against the wall, and Dude Man able to pick him up in the process. Now Gino and Meerkat in the back line, but Gino's got to run out because he's low and held. Mass trying to 2v1 as he goes aggressively against Dude Man and more, but now it's Gino who's in danger. Oath picks him up in the process.
Baskin finally makes his way all the way back from base and rejoins the fight. 3 versus 5 now. Sleekness on the retreat. Nehu on his last legs, and Oceans isolated.
Oceans kicks Meerkat against the wall, and Oceans has his leap to get back away for the time being, but Meerkat will heal himself and the rest of his team up. 3 of them with Fire Giant still, and more than willing to dive. Cavalry charges back up. He'll dive just against Chronic to get the stun against the solo laner and at least be able to pick up 1 for their trouble, but they lost 2 in the process looking for the Phoenix. Oath may try and stop this, but Phoenix under siege, well under half health now. Oath, however, with just that little poke, has saved the Phoenix.
Look, man, I am begging the Hooves to just be 5 members. Just use them all. Why are we tagging in and out? Why is it that Snoopy's in a fight, Baskin doesn't want to be, or if Baskin's in a fight, Snoopy doesn't want to be? Play with all your carries. 3 versus 4 right now. Herculean Hooves with Fire Giant trying to siege this mid Phoenix. Are able to drop it down to half HP, but Meerkat has taken a lot of damage. And with the out-of-combat healing nerf in Season 8, going to take him a little while to regen it all back up.
Mass is still pushing up to the Phoenix line, chopping away at these minions. We'll get some help from Baskin, or maybe not. Baskin's just staring at him. Oceans dives in, drops the winds, deals some damage back to them. Neu dives in, snipes from Dude Man. All Aegis away by Baskin, and now that the rest of the cavalry has arrived, Mass picks up a double kill thanks to the help of the pillars, and it's Dude Man who has to roll away. Oath gets hit by the Dark Portal. Mid-lane Phoenix will fall down. Herculean Hooves may now be looking to close out as they finally grouped up as 5 in an attempt to fight against Sleekness.
It's the Titan burning quickly, but Oboe rings true from Dude Man Bro, keeping Herculean Hooves at bay. Wait, are you telling me that with 5 members, the Herculean Hooves were able to win out on a team fight cleanly? That can't be the truth. They would have been doing it the whole time, right?
That's wild. It's
No.
that's a silly thing. There's no way that had happened. But right now with 5 of them, they did take out mid Phoenix, and with the help of the minions, they take out the left side Phoenix. But not looking like they want to continue further aggressing in the base. They may just make a rotation to the right-hand side, take that Phoenix, but doesn't even look like they're fully committed to doing that, as look where Snoopy's going, away from the rest of the team. Right now, they're treating this Fire Giant like a Rolex with a bad battery. It's just there for looks at this point.
Fire Giant ticks off in about 1 second, so they can't stick around too much longer on the siege, but I'd argue they've done just enough. Mid and left Phoenix get knocked out this time around, and in exactly 1 minute, I gotta imagine the Herculean Hooves are gonna rejoin as 5 members of the Fire Giant. Seems to be the sole POI on the map that is able to force the attention of all 5 members of the Hooves at the same time. So for now, Sleekness has a brief moment, a respite in the storm, an oasis in the desert, while the Hooves wait for this Fire Giant to respawn. And the defense so far has been good from Sleekness, as long as the Hooves aren't grouped up as 5. And truth told, the Hooves don't want to do it. I guess Sleekness can just keep winning out on some of these engagements.
Keep prolonging this game for longer than it really should be going through. If the Hooves have just grouped up as 5 at any point besides here at this mid lane Phoenix and at the left Phoenix, they would have grouped up as 5 in the mid lane 5. They would have grouped up as 5 in anything beyond there. This game could have been over, but the Hooves are still kind of playing with their food a little bit. Oath and Oceans will rotate towards the jungle. Dude Man gets spotted out by himself, and Meerkat, Gino, and Baskin looking for a flank, but won't ultimately find anybody aside from Chronic peeking around the mid lane.
It's Meerkat and Gino getting vision on the entirety of Sleekness, and it's just Meerkat and Gino as of right now. Snoopy and Baskin finally rejoin their frontliners here, but it's all just to create space. Fire Giant has barreled down to the earth, and it is ready to be taken. Sleekness grouped up as 4. Maybe this is the first time we see them trying to fend the Giant, but maybe they don't realize how quickly it burns. Herculean Hooves take that one easily.
What color Ferrari do you think they picked up with this Fire Giant this time? I think they had a yellow one previously, then they picked a blue one. What color Ferrari is it this time?
Gold with black trim.
Ooh, it's
generally they go the other way, but I'm gaudy. I like a lot of gold.
It's a good option for it. Herculean Hooves do take Fire Giant 3rd time this game. It's a little bit of a pause. We're gonna get right back into the action as quick as we can for it. Sorry for the inconvenience, but yeah, at this point, Fire Giant is just another thing for them to take on the map. It's just another objective to get them some golden experience, and they managed to get a couple of Phoenixes last time with it. That was towards the tail end of it, where they lost 2-3 players beforehand. So yeah, Fire Giant hasn't been their biggest priority as far as utilizing its buff.
But here's the thing, J-Mac. There's only one thing left. Well, 2 things left on the map that are to be taken. Goldfury's dead, Pyro's dead, Fire Giant's dead. There's only one Phoenix.
Yeah.
Might as well group up there, or the other objective. I mean, if you're going to 50-50 split the objectives, if they have been for the last 10 minutes, at least they're the Titan and the Phoenix. They're right next to each other, so generally maybe you're benefiting from a 5-on-5 engagement here. Obviously, being a little bit glib, the Herculean Hooves find themselves in a commanding position, and they're knocking on the door of the Titan.
Grouped up as 5 against the Phoenix. It's only Oceans in the Phoenix immediately. Will blink in, drop the wins, but he's already dropped half of his health bar. Pillars as well from
Baskin.
Gino will make sure to zone everybody away. Oath is looking for some damage to the Bat Out of Hell. The snipes are good, and so is the Bat Out of Hell, but they trade out as a 1-for-1. Mask leaps in with his ult, but doesn't find anybody, and now they're down their mid laner, but that doesn't mean anything to them. They're still willing to commit to the dive on the Phoenix. Nayu falls down. Dude Man falls down. That's 3 for the Hooves.
And it's only 2 members left standing from Sleekness, and Fireman Wave has already found the Titan. It's the support and jungler. Can they do it?
Ocean's trying to stop them. Oath does a lot of damage back to Mask, and they've at least pushed them away from the Titan for the moment. Well, mostly just playing distraction, as Oceans is just dangling himself in front of them, saying, hey guys, ignore the Titan. I'm all the way over here. Meanwhile, Oceans is dealing with Mask, who's dealing with the Titan, and the Hooves are able to close it out.
It only took them 6 more minutes despite playing with their food 100% more. 28 minutes to close out this set, 2-0 in favor of the Herculean Hooves, who maintain their unlosing streak so far, able to join the top of the leaderboard at 3-0.
It's a big one for them. They'll tie up there with the Winter Dogs, who eventually they will have to play. So one time we will get to see the 2 undefeateds finally get a loss in their category. That'll be for a little bit of time. And speaking of time, we're out of time for this moment. We're going to take a 2-up break and then come back at the desk to close out the SCC. 2 games, it's all the Herculean hooves needed to take down Sleekness, and a little bit longer in game number 2 than game 1, kind of playing around just a little bit with their food against Sleekness. But ultimately, Herculean hooves come out on top. J-Mac Tucker and Mifflin to break down the remainder of the set, and did not look as nice for that one for Sleekness.
No, not at all. Was there ever any doubt throughout the duration of that match? Maybe a couple of times I thought the Herculean hooves just wouldn't group up, but eventually they do so and are able to win out inside of that match. And I think it is really a story of one team just came in today and they were feeling themselves. They had more confidence. It felt like regardless of game state, regardless of match state in both games of this set, it was just the Herculean hooves playing a little bit more active on the map. And it's something that Aggro and I have actually waxed poetic about ad nauseum. You got to have a little bit of ego to play Smite. You got to have a little bit of ego, and if you're putting too much respect under your opposition, if you think, oh, I'm playing against Baskin, that guy's sick, I'm scared. Oh, that's Mask, that dude like revolutionized the jungle. Well, you've probably already lost because you're kind of idolizing your enemy.
Yeah, kind of getting into your own head at that case. And when you come out here, you just got to play your game. It doesn't matter who's on the side enemy team. It doesn't matter if they're a world champion or an 8th seed SOC player at some point. You just got to go out there and play your best Smite. And well, that's what the Herculean hooves did. They came out and they played their game. They played the W key, run at the enemy team, and have no regard for human life.
Yeah, it was just the Herculean hooves continually posing difficult questions to the enemy. Do you want to dive this tower since we're diving on the other side of the map? Or are you going to defend your red buff? Well, if you do so, we're already on your blue buff as well. Oh, you're at the Gold Fury? Well, we're at the Fire Giant. If you're at the Fire Giant, we're doing Pyro, defending the Fire Giant with 2 members, and we're taking out your left tier 2 tower. It just felt like at every single point, it's whiplash. Where do I defend? Where do I go? They're attacking me at all angles. They're in the trees. They're in the leaves. It was so difficult for Sleekness to dig in their heels and try and find a 5-on-5 engagement, and that's something Sleekness legitimately was looking for often, and the hooves were not willing to give up.
And with it, the hooves do get their 2-0, and they close out their week of play. Looking at the schedule, that was the final match for the mornings, but we do still have one more SCC set after the SPL today. That'll be Tiburones and Average Joes playing against each other. Taking a look at the standings, see how it all rounds out. The Herculean hooves and Winter Dogs will sit at the top at 3-0 apiece. Sturdy Artisans and Sleekness tied right in the middle at 1-2. And Average Joes and Tiburones, well, they both came in completely defeated. At least tonight, one of them will walk out with a victory for themselves.
Only 2 teams going positive so far here in the SCC. That is a stacked top of the roster. I'm excited for this Winter Dogs versus Hooves lineup, man. I feel like that is a match where both teams are going to come in with a healthy amount of ego.
And we do have the schedule for next week available for you as well to kind of see where some of these matchups may fall in line and see who may potentially be falling down in the standings. And it will be after the SPL Sunday. We'll get to see the Hooves and the Winter Dogs.
The amateurs are stealing our sick
Dude,
pass?
they get the best one. What is this
whatever,
nonsense? Well,
they
looking through the rest of it, Pandemonium, Just F6, Elysium, Team Joystick will be our pre-SPL EU matchups. Tiburones and Sleekness, and then Sturdy Artisans and Average Joes for our pre-SPL NA sets, and then Goodnight Nick Snake Hunters, and as we highlighted, Herculean Hooves and Winter Dogs, probably the match to watch for the entire week. Make sure to check out the amateur broadcast after SPL next Sunday to catch that matchup, because it's going to be some fireworks for that game.
Man, I'm going to have to tune in. I already watched so much Smite. Now I'm going to have to hang out in the studio a little longer and watch this one. But again, if you guys are excited for that matchup, and I think you should be if you're a Smite fan, that's on the 29th, right? 29th of August, 7 days from now, at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Or at least when the SPL is over.
Yeah,
but,
maybe it goes late.
Speaking of the SPL, there's a pretty big match today. We start out with the Titans and the Valkyries. That's a good match.
Okay.
But then the Dragons and the Bolts.
Okay, that's a really good
afterward.
match.
One that can potentially shake up the standings. The Bolts sitting nice and pretty at the top along the lines of the Kings, but the Dragons maybe looking to end that streak once more, put another loss in the Bolts column, or maybe the Bolts will send them back packing. We won't see anything with the standings. You'll have to stick around and find out. We're going to cut it to a break. When we come back in a little while, SPL kicks off at 1.
Sunday, the best Smite game match of the week. The Jade Dragons taking on the Olympus Bolts in a Smite match that will shake the heavens. And remember, kid seats are just $8. Okay, never mind, they're free. You just tune in, twitch.tv/SmiteGame.